Previously in Messiah Complex, Wolverine and the rest of the X-Men discover that the Purifiers were behind the killing of innocent children as a way to counteract the birth of a powerful one. But before they could act, the Marauders appear, henchmen of Mr. Sinister, who killed every Purifier and possibly took the baby before the X-Men could reach them. Now, a day later after the battle in Cooperstown, Alaska, firefighters find themselves extinguishing the flames and rescuing civilians. Back in the Xavier Institute, Scot and Emma find themselves looking at the news reporting such success. They didn't find the bodies of those two Marauders at the scene. Or are they covering it up? Mentions Scot. It's entirely possible Sinister sent someone back to clean up his mess. It's not as if he wants the outside world on his tail any more than we do, adds Emma. True, but it doesn't feel right. These are the Marauders, not the Marines, replies Scot as he turns to look at Emma. You saw those bodies. They'd been abandoned. Emma meets his eyes. Let's just be content this disaster isn't being laid at our feet for the moment, Scot, and worry about why later. Good point. Did you make the call? Of course. Neither of them were happy about it, but they'll be here shortly. Good. We need to move fast if we're going to recover this child, so we don't have time for turf wars, replies Scot. Suddenly the door behind them opens. It's Professor X. Scot, why didn't you inform me you'd sent out a team? Asks Xavier, sharpness in his question. Hank and I have been trying to get Cerebro back online, but that doesn't mean... But before he can finish, Scot turns his sight toward him. Since when do I need your permission to lead the X-Men? Then he turns back, looking at the monitor. In case you've forgotten, Professor, the first new mutant to appear since M-Day is probably in the wards of one of our worst nightmares, especially in light of your track record lately. Xavier lowers his sight. Scot, that's not fair. Cyclops turns aggressively, looking at him, while Emma tries to get in between them to diffuse the tension, but Scot is furious. Isn't it? Aren't you the man who left my brother in outer space last month? The man who lied about the danger room, and Krakoa, who stood by while my father was killed? That's not how it happened, and you know it, replies Xavier. And I am also the man who trained all of you, and who knows more about new mutants than anyone on this planet. Except maybe Sinister, right? Damn it. Let me help, Scot. Help by letting me do what you trained me to do, to lead, and help by getting Cerebro working again as quickly as you can. But Xavier doesn't accept that answer, pushing. You need my help. I will be the first to say so when I do, replies Scot. Professor, believe me, this isn't pride. I know what it is. Disappointment, murmurs Xavier. Close enough, replies Scot, turning around. And while you're working on Cerebro, maybe you and Hank can figure out why this new mutant manifested at birth. That's unusual. Professor X agrees, sadness in his eyes, but before he can leave the room, Scot reaffirms his authority. Look, I've got this all under control, Professor. That's why I've already got a team in the field, hunting Sinister and his people. At the same time, the X-Men are following a trace in Mr. Sinister's henchmen. Why didn't Scot tell me these Marauders were holding Rogue captive too? Asks Angel as he does recon through the city. What am I, dear Abby? Talk to Summers about it. My guess is he wanted you focused on the mission last night, just like I want you focused now, replies Wolverine. Finding these X-Acolytes is our best chance of getting a lead on the Marauders. You got the location site? Yeah, but I think I might have been spotted, sighs Warren as he looks up at one of the enemies. It's Gargoyle. They're here. In an instant, Colossus appears through a wall, intercepting a group of X-Acolytes. Both of you please stay right where you are. The two smile at him. One vanishes through the floor while the other hits Colossus right in the chest with green flames, sending him crashing toward a building. They are on the move. Watch for Neophyte. He dropped into the floor, communicated Colossus. Wolverine smells his surroundings, which means he could be, as he looks upward. Nightcrawler gets the hint and captures Neophyte by the neck. Then in seconds he teleports him to the sky. You see, there is nothing up here for you to phase into. Wolverine leaves Nightcrawler to handle that one on his own, while he looks for the other. Might as well come out, Projector. I can smell you from here. Anyway, we just want to talk. Suddenly, Wolverine is hit by a force of energy, sending him back. You've got a funny way of getting that across. What can I say? These are complicated times, bub, replies Logan with a smile. Back in the Institute, Madrox's voice could be heard from the outside. What are you doing? Summers, what is she doing? Screams Jamie. Emma smiles, looking at him. Checking to make sure you're the genuine article, Madrox, and not the duplicate. Madrox looks back at her annoyed. Try asking, White Queen, and maybe not with mental suggestions included this time. Scot arrives a few minutes later asking, what's he talking about, Emma? You wanted them here immediately, so I made sure they had no objections. Madrox scratches his head. No, you temporarily erased any objections I have about dealing with you people, which is not the same thing. I told you they weren't happy about it. Richter looks at Emma sideways. You like people pushing things around in your head, Emma? Scott turns around. Jamie, Richter, I apologize for the way Emma got you here, but as she told you, this is important. More important than the problems between our teams. Suddenly, the conversation turns serious. What is going on, Summers? I haven't seen you this tense since Proteus tried to eat your girlfriend. In seconds, a young lady appears, interrupting. Everything's changed. Emma looks back at Scott, disappointed. You brought Layla Miller. That wasn't part of the request. I know, Ms. Frost, replies Layla, and that's why I tagged along. Jamie's gonna need me with him for what comes next. Emma gets close to her, raising an eyebrow. And what's that? What's coming next? Layla looks down. Stuff I don't know, actually, but I know I need to be there, and I know. But before she can continue, Scott jumps into the conversation that everything has changed. It's true. There's a new mutant in the world, and you're all gonna help us save it. Minutes later, Scott brings everyone up to speed on the events from yesterday. My God, all this destruction and death was all over a new mutant appearing? Asks Madrox. And worse than that, replies Cyclops. We think it was a mutant birth, not a teenage manifestation. The birth of a mutant powerful enough that its simple existence fried Cerebro off the grid. And you think Sinister has this baby? That's not good, Summers. That's the opposite of good. Scott looks back at Jamie and Richter. It's just a working theory right now. All we know for sure is that the Marauders and the Purifiers tore that town and each other apart. And now the baby is missing. My gut tells me Sinister's the safest bet for winner of that fight, but we need to cover all angles. That's why I wanted Richter here too. What do you want from me? He asks. Something you're not going to want to do, replies Scott. Richter looks at him, serious. I'm liking the sound of this already, but before they can finish, Layla responds. He wants you to infiltrate the Purifiers. Scott looks at her. Hey, I can talk for myself. But Layla just smiles faintly, adding, sorry, but you're right. It makes sense. The Purifier's public persona means a frontal assault would be a nightmare. But Richter's not a mutant anymore, so he could maybe sneak in. Richter lowers his head, thinking, you want to put me undercover with those sick, twisted mutant haters? The people who probably killed every child in that town? Yes, is that going to be a problem? Asks Scott firmly. What's Jamie's job then? Going to the Savage Land to have lunch with Sauron? Scott looks to his left. Do you want to tell him, Layla? We are going to see Forge, but at the same time she pauses for a second, looking at Madrox. Who's Forge? That same day, Professor X and Henry are working in the laboratory on fixing Cerebro. Just thought enough time had passed that I'd proven, I don't know, something, says Xavier, looking down while working. This gets stranger and stranger, adds Beast. I agree. No, sorry, Professor, I mean this blaster the Purifiers were carrying. I thought it would be more future tech they salvaged from Nimrod, which I'm assuming is how they knew about the child's birth before Cerebro did. But this weapon, it's not futuristic in design at all. In fact, it looks kind of familiar, which, as I said, is strange. I need to look through my Purifier files again. I'm sure Scott will get to the bottom of it. Beast looks back at him calmly. He will, Charles. You trained him well. Take pride in that and let him lead. I don't know what else to tell you. But Xavier's mind is somewhere else. He walks the halls of the X-Men facilities. As he feels pushed away from the conversation and team planning, he finds himself standing in front of Cerebro, waiting. Back in the city, Wolverine has projectors subdued. Kid, you couldn't take us when you were with Magneto. Sure as hell can't do it on your own, growls Logan, furious. Nightcrawler has been teleporting Neophyte throughout the whole battlefield as a way to make him speak. Please, stop, he screams. Kurt looks at him seriously and lets him go, falling to his death. As you wish, knowing full well that Angel will catch him. At the same time, Gargui is closing in on Warren, but not before Nightcrawler intervenes, knocking him out cold with a kick from the sky. Vindaloo is still fighting Colossus. I can do this all night, you Russian freak, but Colossus is imposing. Then it is going to be a long night. In an instant, the ceiling crumbles above Colossus. From there, Wolverine appears, escaping from Projector. Look out, Pete, he shouts. Williams tries to blast Wolverine with his energy field, but instead hits his own partner, Vindaloo. Wolverine walks toward him slowly. Now look at that. You hurt your own guy. Pathetic. He then gets closer to Projector, putting his neck between his claws. Furious, Wolverine looks at him. And for what? To protect a guy like Exodus? A guy who you didn't want to follow in the first place? Williams looks back at Wolverine, sweating, scared. All right. What do you want to know? Back in the Institute, Scot finds himself in his room when Emma Frost appears. "Logan just reported in," says Scot, looking back at her over his shoulder. "Looks like they got a lead on tracking Exodus, and hopefully the marauders he joined up with." "Good. You should take some time to speak with the students if you can," replies Emma. "They're complaining about sitting this out. This means a lot to them, a new mutant birth." Emma lowers her head, while, with a bit of sadness in her eyes, she softly puts a hand on Scot's shoulder. "It means they might not be the last generation." Scot touches her hand back, adding, "I'll talk to them soon. I have to finish a field report for Forge, and then Hank needs to show me something." Emma hugs him slowly. "I like it when you're like this, all in charge. It suits you." "I don't know about that," replies Scot while looking at the moon. "I still feel like there's something big I'm missing here." And he is not wrong. While the X-Men are trying to figure out their plan against the Marauders and Purifiers, Predator X moves at a speed fueled by hunger. The 2 dead mutants in Alaska last night gave him the energy to move on, but they would be a morsel compared to the other one, the new one that he feels out there somewhere in the distance.